Hi everybody, if anybody's there even, or anyone comes to watch you later. This is me, Grey Man again, and I'm being joined for some comic memories with Nick the Comic Nerd.
How's it going?
How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm nervous and excited to do this, but
Nervous and excited to be on my channel.
that's right.
well,
Yeah,
well,
phenomenal, man. Seriously.
nothing to be nervous
Okay.
or excited about, really.
Yeah.
But you got your five comic books to talk to us about, and we'll go through some of your history, maybe if that's what book you've chosen.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's hard to pick five, and it's a shame because there was like one I really wanted to show, and I can't find it, and I'm super upset because if I showed you like all my organization, like I could tell you where everything is, and there's one I have my first issue I was ever given, and then I also have it in like the hard copy, and I can't find either one, so I'm super upset about that.
oh right, that's annoying.
What are you gonna do?
Is that an Infinity Gauntlet on the wall behind you?
I got the real gauntlet. That's right.
Can't you just press the right button and it'll stop time and find the comic book that you need or something like that? You know? Yeah.
I was looking off last night, but hey, I mean, I think I have 5 good books to show still. So
cool.
Yeah.
And they all got some interesting memories associated, or they're just comics you really enjoyed.
Most of them are they've all got a memory, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then like it's cool because like the road that they brought me on with comic books is like pretty awesome. So
yeah,
cool. Some books some books you get and you kind of just put them to the side, and then some books you get and they just continue with you forever. So these are books that I'll probably never do away with at this point.
Yeah, and I also think like with all the different people, everyone's got their own comic journey. So like your early comic books that got you going started off might be somebody else's. Like, what the heck is that kind of comic book? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Do get some interesting ones. So we might as well go straight to the full screen, and we let you show your first comic book, and give us something to chat about. Or we get to see more of your room in full screen as well. We can get to see the you got your three-eyed monster from Toy Story. Is that?
Yeah, that's one of the guys from Toy Story.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll show this one
boxes
first.
Is that a pile of short boxes on the other side?
That's a pile of short boxes.
Yeah.
I have another stack of 5, another stack of 4. And I can't find those 2 books in them, so I'm super upset. All right, so I guess the first thing I'm going to show, this is the first comic book I ever bought on my own. And like I said, like you said, the journey with it all comes to this is Daredevil and the Punisher, book number 1.
Daredevil and Punisher, right. That looks pretty modern. You look like quite a modern person yourself. You look like you're fairly young, I'm guessing. So.
Yeah, so I'm 28, but my comic book journey, like it started in like late 2017, early 2018, so I'm still relatively new to all.
Wow, very, very noobish.
Yeah, so this all started because at the time Daredevil on Netflix came out, and it'd be cool. Like if I had that other book I could show you, it'd give you the whole story. But my cousin gave me a comic book, and it was a Guardians of the Galaxy book, and I loved them, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to a comic shop and find Guardians of the Galaxy, and then I learned that it's nothing like the movies, the people in it. But I was like, oh, they had this Daredevil and Punisher, which literally had just come out. So this was book 1. Like, all right, cool. So I went with this, and this led me to travel on to, I have an entire box now of modern Daredevil. I don't really have any old ones.
I gotta say, it's cool to hear of somebody who like got into comics from the films, because everyone I know is people have listened to their channels or whatever. So it's like they've been into the comics long before the movies ever came along. Right. And I always wonder if the films ever managed to bring people back into the comic books. So it's good to hear that someone has actually brought into comics from the movies.
Yeah, I kind of wish it was the other way around. Like I watch a lot of your stuff and all the people that you do things with, and I'm like, these guys kind of grew up. Hey, Mag. These guys kind of grew, like you guys grew up with just these books, I don't even know if these shows at the time, and it's amazing how like you got to watch that book turn into something where for me it's kind of backwards. The movie, pushed, it kind of pushed other ideas in some of the comic books, but overall, like I said, I do wish it was the other way around. I always mess around and say I was born 10 years too late, even with like the music style I like and everything, but it is what it is. But it's cool with this because this book led me into I still read the current Daredevil that's running, and this led into this was 4 issues, and then it went into Daredevil 10, which then rolled all the way through to like Daredevil 30 or something, and then it jumped another number. So it's awesome because it kept my love in Daredevil, and I'll never, I'll never get rid of this one just for that reason alone.
Yeah, that's quite. So it's only been about 3 years then you've really been collecting comic books.
Yeah, really. I mean, I'm over 1,000 books, which I'm happy about in 3 years, but at the same time. I can't say they all hold a story for me, unfortunately, but still, it's a
Yeah.
great hobby. I love it. The community is amazing. So
Yeah, that's good. That's cool. It's
yeah.
kind of like cool as well. You come into it. You've started like really early on your YouTubing and talking about it on YouTube. How long have you been doing it on YouTube for?
YouTube, I've been on for over a year. The funny thing is, I
Yeah,
say it all the time, at first I tried doing everything live on Instagram, and I like just never practiced it or anything. And then like I kind of started losing like the faith in it and myself. Like I just wasn't having fun with it anymore. So I jumped to YouTube and I started watching
yeah,
like you and a whole bunch of people in the community. And I was like, all right, I've got to kind of shift towards this instead of just guessing and using, like, I was using my regular computer camera and it stunk, and then I bought the
yeah,
camera and the light and the microphone and I was like, wow, this is already getting better, and it's more fun now. So,
yeah.
but slow grind, but still, it's worth it.
Yeah. I kind of wish, in a way, I was thinking about it. If I wish I'd YouTube had been around when I first started collecting, it would have been probably quite good. Actually, you probably get good tips like quite early from watching all the different channels.
Right.
But I used to always like collect in my own little bubble. I had no friends who really read comic books. I bought comic books. The shop I went to, they didn't really talk about comics. He wasn't a comic fan. He just sold them. Okay. So I never really knew much about spec and all that kind of. I mean, maybe if I'd had a bit more knowledge back in the day, might have bought some better books.
Yeah, no, exactly. And bought extra specs and stuff, but still,
yeah.
No, but that's awesome. Like I said, your journey was like, you've read and watched it grow. I'm kind of like I saw it grow, and now I'm following the after effects.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it carries on growing. The movies don't seem to be slowing down at all. The movies and the TV shows, and it seems to be sort of like, and comics. People, I don't know how people are saying that comic books have gone a bit crazy at the moment. Some people are saying maybe it's the corona and people are all sitting at home and they're all like, what can we do? Or we're bored at home, or let's go and buy some books. And so everyone's competing against each other.
Yeah.
So maybe it's going to sort of drop after that. So how do you choose your comic books? So you started getting into Daredevil because you'd seen the TV show. Did you then start looking at other TV characters that had books, or did you spread from? Did you start reading comics independently from the shows?
Yeah, no, it all kind of started from like independently from like cinema and TV shows and stuff. And it happened to be like my uncle knew of this really big LCS by me, and I would go there and I'd pick out the few I wanted, and then all of a sudden I'd see other covers and other shows, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let me try this and let me try that. And so it was cool because I was using such a massive LCS. It's one of the biggest on Long Island, and they do such a job that I was like, oh, you know what? Like, then I learned about what a pull list was because I didn't know what that was. And like, oh, do you want to do a pull list? And I was like, I don't even know what that is. And they take the books to the side for you so you don't have to come in and possibly not get them. And I was like, oh,
yeah. That sounds like fun.
I like, it's hard because I was going to school at the time, so like my budget was so short, and like I would go and I'd be like, oh, I got like $16 this week. I can get like 3 or 4 books. Where now at least I'm working. And I'm like, I still budget, thankfully, but it's much higher budget. So,
what is that shop? What's the name of your shop?
The shop was called Fourth World Comics. I don't use them anymore. Lately, after COVID, like their shipments it's unfortunate. Like I just wasn't happy anymore, So I moved to a shop much closer to my house, and the guy is super loyal to me. Sometimes he orders just 1 copy of a book just for me, so he's super cool about it. It works out.
Good. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. And it's good to visit sometimes like a big shop like that. I'm imagining that like you've got so many customers that they haven't got the time to be like personal service to a smaller shop, maybe with less customers. You get to know the people better, and they get to know you and what you like to pick up and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
I can see the benefits of that. But what characters was you getting then? Was there other TV shows that you liked and you sort of checked them out as well, or was it all movies?
So I was big on I'm huge on Guardians of the Galaxy, still am. Like I have the first Star-Lord, thankfully, like it was a huge grab. I was a big Power Rangers guy, and I never knew they were a comic book. So like all of a sudden I'm like, this is 20 years after I was watching Power Rangers. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I'm gonna buy this book now. So that was another one. Venom was always like somebody who caught my eye, so I ended up getting a lot of Venom. I wish I could stick with X-Men. Like I read the Wolverine covers and I just couldn't stick with it. And Batman is an all-time favorite. I watched Batman the animated series like every day growing up. So I have all the box sets of it, and I just collect as much Batman as I can now. So
So who's your favorite, Daredevil or Batman?
Batman is definitely my number 1 favorite. Daredevil is like kind of like a Daredevil's like oddly like a hero, like I like thrive to be in a way. Like, you know, he's somebody who like he's a lawyer and everything, so he like takes care of everything. He believes in the truth and justice, and I kind of admire that. You know, where Batman,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes he just goes and knocks some heads, and I'm like, oh, it's really cool too, though.
Yeah. Well, there's that thing. I don't know if it's a meme or what, but people said that Batman should be called Daredevil and Daredevil should be called Batman because you know Daredevil's got radar like bats, and you know.
Yeah,
and,
it's so true. It's so funny.
Yeah. It's kind of strange that.
Yeah, but it's awesome. It's cool how like they all, you know, they like kind of feed off of each other in a way, you know. So
yeah, I think a lot of we've seen, not necessarily a lot. We've got a few people have who are into comics start off with. They don't get on with the TV shows. So many people I say, oh, it's not like the comics. Oh, they've changed this, they've changed that. Some of the comic book readers can be so like fixed in their like blinkered with what they should. You know, I remember I used to be like that, but I sort of soon stopped myself from doing that because I realised it was stupid. It's just like, no, because, you know, they're not going to be exactly the same. Whoever's doing the films is obviously going to make different changes, either budgetary or for a story or whatever. So it's never going to be exactly. But so many people just can't get their heads around that. And do you find that at all? Do you like did you find yourself buying comics and saying that's not how they do it on the movie?
I have, especially with like certain storylines. You know, I'll be reading something and I'm like, oh, this is gonna happen next, and it doesn't, and I was like, it kind of hurts. And I'm like a huge Walking Dead fan, so I have all the volumes. I've read them all. I've read all the trades and everything. So like that hurts because like sometimes like this didn't happen in the show and it didn't happen in the book. So that's a great example, I think. You know, characters that do and don't exist, and it's pretty cool though to see because it's nice to kind of be like, all right, well, this is what happened, and maybe this character will take the path of that one, you know. But still, it's not the same. But I 100% think that's the me.
You just have to have to learn to sort of like live with the changes, you know, accept them, even though it may not be exactly as you want it. But you know, I say so. It's better to have something than nothing in a TV show. I'd hate them to go away. A lot of people, sometimes people say, "Oh, there's too many of them now." But I'm like, the more the merrier, man. The more the merrier. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed.
What are you watching at the moment on superhero wise?
I watched the CW's Batwoman. I'm watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm actually going back through Batman Beyond, the cartoon, the animated series of that.
Yeah.
Walking Dead. What else am I into? That's really it for right now. You know, Loki is coming out. I couldn't get into that Invincible show that everybody was talking about, and I'm kind of upset about it. But I never read the comics, so it's just
I've read trades of that. I'm waiting for the whole series to finish so I can watch it all in one go.
Oh, nice! That's awesome. That's a great idea.
But the thing is, there's so many TV channels now. I'm always saying so many TV channels. I kind of miss the days when I used to only have 4, because that way I knew I could find everything that I wanted to watch. Yeah. You know what time it'd be on. But now I just can't keep track of it.
I know.
I know Invincible is on a channel that I can get. It's on Amazon, and I get Amazon, so that's cool. Mm-hmm. I can watch that, but I just lose track of everything else. So I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to watching the Snyder cut of the bloody Wonder Woman movie, or I haven't got HBO, I haven't got Disney Plus or whatever. And it's just, you can't afford to buy all these channels.
That's the thing. Yep.
I've got too many comics. Got too many comics I have to buy. I can't afford TV channels as well.
Exactly. No, you're right.
Is there any comic book or a character you'd like to see have a TV show?
I really like when like these indie comic books go to the screen. You know, like I thought Lock and Key was awesome. That forced me to go and get, you know, the first 2 or 3 trades. You know, I think some like, I don't know, kind of like indies you've read or anything, but like a lot of those like really catch my eye where I'm like, wow, this would be a great Netflix series. Or even like The Witcher became a comic book series, and you know, of course, I read the books and then watched the show and then played the game, and now, you know, it's a comic book. It's great, you know.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to games, I play Fallout all the time. I'd like to see a Fallout comic book
I love
series.
watching you play Fallout because I was never good at it. So when I watch you play, it's so cool because, in all honesty, when I watch you play Fallout, it's like watching a TV show kind of for me. You're interacting with the chat, which is great. You know, I'll sit on lunch, I'll be watching you play Fallout. I'm like, oh, this is great. It's like watching a show. This is so cool. You know, it's nice to like step away from work for that hour for me and get to watch you do something that you like to do and that you're good at that I sucked at, you know.
Oh dear, that's cool. I was playing it a bit earlier on today. Actually, I managed to get myself killed. I was like, oh, but I kind of got to the stage where I don't care. Like, it's like, oh, Oh, what a pity. I used to get really annoyed with gaming, but now I play a game that I can play really well. And it's like, and when I die, I say, oh, well, never mind. That was silly of me.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Right, so you go on to your next comic book.
All right.
I'll put you on the full screen so we can see.
All right. So this one, it's not, I mean, to me, it's special. I don't think it's very special to a lot of people. So
no, that's fine.
This is Detective Comics 1000.
Okay.
What's cool about this was when I was going to that LCS, they did this thing because I had never bought into a full Batman series like this. Like I was in like some side stories with Batman, but this, they did all the copies of this. They did for like a discounted price, and I was like, oh, I've never read this. I had some like old trades of Detective Comics, but I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna pay for every copy of it and get them checked out. So this was my favorite cover. This was the newest version of it, and it was also like my first anthology thing. Which I don't love the anthologies, but I think it's still cool, because they have a lot of great writers in here. Like Scott Snyder is a local writer in my neighborhood. So he signs a ton of things, and he was in here. But this was my first big comic event, realistically. We're all like, wow, 1,000, like I had Action Comics 1,000, but they didn't do this whole big thing for it, which was kind of upsetting when I looked back because I thought all the stories in that were great compared to this, which were so-so. But for me, like this was, my first big Batman thing that like broke me through into it, so...
You say you got every cover of that 1,000?
Yeah, I do.
How many are there? How many were there?
So there were, I want to say there were 11 or 12 that day.
Oh, that's not too bad.
It was really cool because, so like it was 11 or 12 for $10, and then like I said, they discounted it, so you got like 4 for free. But when I looked into it further when I got home, each one kind of had like a decade of artwork on it, which was awesome. But because I didn't know that, and then I was like, oh, so I went back and looked, and I was like, wow, this is actually really cool because. Going through the years of them, and I was like, oh, this makes sense the way they did it now. So I was very happy to learn that and realize.
I think they did the same. I think they did the same with Superman as well. I think I got the 50s homage Superman cover. I think. Right. I can't remember what Batman Detective. I think I got. My one wasn't a themed one for a decade. It was it was a Brian Bolland Virgin cover.
Oh, very
I managed to pick up. I think it might have been exclusive to Forbidden Planet in the UK. I'm not sure, but it was nice, cool Brian Bolland. It's all the Bat villains on the cover, and cool. Pretty cool. I think I've got an AOK with a different cover. Like it might be that one. Was it? Who's the artist on that one you got there in your hand?
This one I think was. I want to say that this was Jock. I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. Now, mine, I can't remember the guy. I know his surname is Lee, but I can't remember. There's a J Lee and there's another Jim Lee. I think it was Jim Lee.
Oh, Jim Lee, yeah.
I think I got a Jim Lee variant.
They all did covers of this too. So let me. But it's cool because this was a wraparound cover too. So, and I just love that version of Robin.
Oh, yeah. Cool. They would look nice. I think that would look nice as like a display, like all up on the wall side by side, showing all the covers through the ages. That would look really, really smart, I reckon.
So that's the goal. And my goal is this is going to go out to CGC, I think, and I'm going to get this one graded. And you were right, this is Jim Lee.
Oh, it's Jim Lee. Okay, cool. Good call. Wow, I'm actually right about an artist for once.
There you go.
For me. Yeah. I'm really rubbish at that. I've always been. I never could say I always collected in my own little bubble. So imagine the people who've talk to other comic book fans. They'll have favorite artists and talk about favorite writers. Well, I just followed the characters and wanted to know the story. Never even looked about who did the art, who did the story. I just read them.
Yep, I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I feel so bad. It's so funny. Like everybody collects those Alex Ross covers, and I'm kind of like, he's just not my guy. It's so hard to say, but it's so true for me.
That's fine. Yeah, that's cool. I don't. There's no. I mean, I like Brian Bolland. Brian Bolland's always done good art, but he did 2000 AD when I was a kid. It was a UK weekly comic book, and I used to get that all the time. Very cool. He's all. You can always sort of tell his art as well. Just he's got this style. I don't know how you describe it,
right?
But it's just you can just see, look, you go, oh, that's Brian Bolland.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it's cool when something like that catches your eye because now, like I was saying, like Scott Snyder is like a big guy that got me into comic books, and now he writes so many things for indie comic companies and everything. So, that one got me into buying more books. So.
Yeah, I think Simple Simon, he's like quite a noob. He's not been collecting that long. And he says that when he reads a comic book that said like for example, Detective 1000, they think, well, this has got so much history. I'm not possibly ever going to know all this story. And he kind of gets put off a little bit about getting them because he thinks he's so late into the run, if you know what I mean. Do you ever look at that? Or do you ever think, this has been going since 1938 or whatever it is, and here am I in 20 whatever.
Yeah. It's funny because like so Detective Comics like this got me. I still read the current run, so I think like number 40 comes out in a couple weeks. But for my birthday, I think it was 2 years ago, was when it was Batman's 100-year anniversary. I got like from my parents as a gift. It was like that textbook thing of 100 years of Batman. So it was awesome because it was
It wasn't 80 years.
80 years. You're right, 80.
Yeah.
Excuse me, not 100. It was 80 years. Wow. What am I thinking? It was 80 years of Batman. So it was really cool because like when you open it, it's got like things from like the original or some of the original people, and like excerpts and stuff. And then it shows you like, oh, Detective Comics was this, and it was about like just some regular stand-up guy who was like a cop, and then it turns into all of a sudden here comes Batman. So I got to read that issue because part of that was in there. So it was really cool, and it introduced so many characters and villains, and I was like, all right, I don't have these first issues, but at least now I know the story of how that happened,
Yeah. I think you can probably get on at any time anyway, because I don't remember ever feeling that myself when I bought comic books. I just wanted to read the next part of the story. I didn't worry too much about what had come before and stuff I didn't know. I just assumed I'd sort of pick it up as I went along, kind of thing. But I can see why some people may be a little bit daunted by it, and that's why it's good to have new arcs created, or maybe restart the run or whatever. Maybe they're doing that a bit too much now, though.
Yeah.
Have you gone back to buy old comic books, or you've only just been buying the new monthly ones?
Realistically, the only like old comic books I go and buy, like this year, I finally made like my own personal Grail list, and all of those are like I never know what's Silver Age and Bronze Age. I just know like they're older, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I have a whole bunch of those on there, which I'm like dying to get my hands on, and I've got to spend a pretty penny on, but I'm like trying not to overpay, and right now it's hard because like you kind of said earlier, the price of comics is just shooting up with people.
Yeah.
But I love to dollar bin dive. And it's cool because like I love like the original Hawkman stuff. Anytime there's a dollar Detective Comics, I usually buy it. So those are like, and it doesn't matter how far back it goes, I want it, I grab it.
If it's for $1, you might as well. Blimey.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Detective Comics. I grab a lot of Amazing Spider-Man stuff, and then I never love reading it, unfortunately.
All right. Is that a character that never really? What is it about Spider-Man doesn't do it for you?
I don't know. Like I loved the show when I was a kid. The Amazing Spider-Man show is a big thing, and that introduced so many villains to us. And I was like, all right, this is great. But the comic books, I just don't love it. I don't know why. I wish I did. Because it's funny. I look back, like I look at modern books, and then you look back at some older books, and there's more dialogue in the older books typically, and that's so much better. Sometimes I turn 3 pages in a modern book, and I was like, all right, there's no dialogue, and it's just like a fight, and I was like, all right, this is cool. Like, but at the same time, you go back and you get that dialogue, and it just adds to the story and brings it to you more personally. So.
Yeah, I'm always reading my comics when I can. I was reading some like 60s Jimmy Olsen, and then I went on to some modern Marvel Knights kind of thing. And I was thinking to myself, I'm reading 2 of these comic books in the space he took me to read one of the old comic books.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like. He just like you seem to just sort of go through them so quickly, and like they probably they're a lot different. There's just quite a lot of talking there. Maybe they're talking less, or maybe they're. I don't know, but it just seemed to go through quickly, or maybe there aren't so many panels or something. I don't know, but I know it was going through them really quick. Felt like it anyway.
That's 100% what it is. I 100% agree.
Oh well. So you still collected Batman. What about? So have you got a favorite Marvel or DC, or I mean, have you got a favorite when it comes to the movies? Everyone always says the Marvel movies are better. Do you like the DC movies, or do you think Marvel's better?
I do like the DC movies. I'm kind of back and forth on them, but definitely like Marvel movies better. I think the cinematic universe in there is just it was set up so much sooner. DC, would put out movies, and every couple of years we get a new Batman, which isn't a bad thing because it just changes it up, and I'm always gonna watch it. But I think just like when like you figured out, after like year 6 that like all these Marvel movies are like running in order, I was like, this is amazing. And to see where it led up to, I think that's just so awesome. And now it's on TV, like they just add to it. I do love like a lot of the Batman movies, I might have all of them, to be honest.
So the Marvel movies had a clear vision from the start kind of thing, and DC have kind of stuttered and sputtered too much.
Exactly. Like, Batman Begins was probably one of the first big like superhero movies I ever really liked, besides like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. But then all of a sudden there was like Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, and I was like, oh man. And then the Avengers came out, and I was like, whoa, like this is incredible. But that Batman, I'll always love that. That'll always hold a special place for me.
Yeah. So this is something I've heard spoken of for quite a lot. Of people saying that Marvel are better for the movies and DC are better for the TV shows.
Yep.
Bill's saying that they may be changing with Disney Plus. Did you watch the WandaVision?
I did watch WandaVision. I didn't love it as much as everybody else did. I liked it a lot, but there were some parts where like I liked the beginning better than the end, and everybody else kind of seems to be flip flop. But that's
that's just one of those shows I've not had a chance to see yet because I haven't got Disney Plus.
yeah,
maybe I will eventually. We'll see. So we move on to your third comic.
All right.
So unless you've got anything else you want to say about Batman.
I have another Batman here, so we're just gonna roll right.
We'll carry on talking about Batman then.
So, like I was saying, my cousin gave me my first comic book ever, and he's younger than me. So the fact that he was at a store and thought of me, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" He gave me a Rocket Raccoon cover, and then he told me to read this. So this is the first trade of the New 52 Batman,
Court of
Owls.
Yeah, I thought it was.
It's a nice thick trade, and I was like, "Oh, all right, cool. I'll get into this." And like I was saying, Scott's kind of he's a local guy. So I actually have signature and everything in there. So.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
This was, to me, I was like, I wonder where this is going to go, not realizing it was already done. But, this led into Court of Owls 2, which led into Death of the Family, which led into Endgame, and then other stuff. I was just like, what a run of comic books. I wish I was able to pick these all up in the trade, individual issues. But to have this, I was like, at least I've got something. Because this, to me, was just like, I think I read all 10 of these or 11 of these in like under a week's time. I just flew through. I was like, these are so good. I couldn't stop. So,
I've kind of like, I wasn't that keen on that when I read it. I need to read it again, but I think it was I've got a bit jaded. I've been reading comics since the mid '80s at that point, and they were costing me more money, and I was a little bit kind of down anyway, and I wasn't feeling the greatest of moods. And I was like, I read it, I was like, it was all right. You know what I mean? It didn't make me wow. I think the wow factor kind of has been lost slightly as you read. Once you read for a few decades, you kind of it's hard to always keep the wow factor. But
I 100% get that. There were some things in here when I reread this, I was like, whoa, like, kind of not to be a spoiler, but like this had like Batman's brother in it and everything, and I was like, wait, he had a brother, and like that threw me off because then it didn't last. It's kind of dumb. But to see the Court of Owls and everything, and like I said, to where this led to, because I have the whole set now. To me, this was huge.
I thought that was a bit much as well. Like suddenly, all of a sudden, this Court of Owls exists that's never been mentioned before, and it goes back to the beginning of Gotham. I was like, all right then. And Batman's never noticed it. Hey, okay, if you say so. But
like I said, like this for me again was another. This was the first volume of any book I ever bought, so I was like, oh, cool, I have a volume of a book now, and so to me that is something special.
That's it. This is the thing we were saying about different people's different journeys and why it's cool to hear people's different comic memories, because for you, it was an early one that really sparked your interest and helped to cement your love. And for me, it was towards the end because I stopped collecting for quite a while from 2013. And that must have been like a year or so after that one. So that's the first one for the New 52. And I stopped at about, 16 or something in the New 52.
Okay.
So that's kind of like towards the end of my regular buying kind of journey.
Okay.
And now I only buy back issues when I can afford them.
I love that. Sometimes I wish I did, because sometimes, like I kind of made a video a few weeks ago about like the hype that comic books brings. I think you commented on it, and I agreed with you about how like you watch other people's videos and they show you new comic books. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get that, and then I hate it, and I was like, I didn't need to spend this money. Like, it's like hype of somebody else getting it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get it, and then I'm like, I wish I didn't buy this.
It's a shame they can't find a way to make them cheaper again. I don't know, put more adverts in or something. I use lesser quality paper or something, because like I to buy one comic book for $4 or £4, whatever the equivalent is, I'm like, no, it's not worth it. But if I was able to pick up 2 or 3 for that, I'd be like, okay, fair enough, that's worth it. But the fact that it's like £4 each or something, like, no, it's too much.
Yeah.
So I wait 6 months, and then I manage to pick up quite often. I manage to pick them up like off Facebook, off people who like, they're not obviously pristine condition. There might be a little, most of them are pretty good condition, but like just like a couple of months after they've been on sale for like, you can get them for quarter of the price kind of thing. So that's what I try and do when I can.
That's genius. I wish that's how it was. Somebody was telling me the other day that DC Comics are going to go up to a minimum of like $6, and I was like, that's terrible. Like and DC Comics right now to me is not doing well. It sucks to say.
They're like, it's almost like they're cutting their own throats.
Yeah,
I can't see how that's gonna.
Not
exactly.
smart.
Ranger Slice says you could buy a nice Bronze Age book for $4. Why would you want to spend $6 on a brand new one that you read in a quarter of the time?
Exactly.
Also, I think I mean, have you read many old books? You say you've got. You started looking at them.
I have a whole bunch of Amazing Spider-Mans. I have a whole bunch of Detective Comics. I think in all honesty, my earliest Detective Comics is like number 300 and something. It doesn't even go that far back. I'm trying to think.
That's quite far for Detective Comics.
Yeah, thankfully, but I'm trying.
Yeah. Well, obviously there's different styles of art, and I just like when I look at the new the books, the covers and so forth. They're good art, they're nice art. But for me, it's not comic books. I like there's just something about I like the old style of the old style drawing on the covers and the old style interiors, and like the action pops a lot more for me. You can see everything a lot more clearly now. It's all darkness and shadow and like digital blinking tones and all that. And half the time, we like. What is happening here anyway?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's funny too because like you look at modern books compared to like older books, and there was there's dialogue on older covers, which is great.
Yeah, I love them.
The thing is too, like now you don't see dialogue on them, and half the time I buy a cover now. And what's on the cover isn't even in the book, and it's
it's nothing to do with it. It's like there doesn't seem to be any sort of like a connection between the covers and the interiors now. It's just like we get some artists who can draw nice pictures of these characters. As long as he's got a character that's in the book on the cover, that's all that matters. He hasn't got, but I think they're missing a trick because back in the day when you used to go in the shop when I was a kid. Just a picture wasn't going to make me pick something up. I'd want to see what was going on, or some dialogue, or some blurbs. You look at that as a kid, and you'd be like, "Oh wow, what's happening here? What's going to happen? How will he survive this predicament that he's in?
Right?
Who is this masked person in the background, hidden in shadow? I need to buy it to find out." And now it's just like someone swinging from a vine or blinking, riding a motorbike or whatever.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and that's the thing. Books today have there are so many variant covers.
Yeah,
variant covers like just have even less to do, and I'm just like, why? It's just, people buy it for the artist and everything. And don't get me wrong, like you said, they look great, but then you open the book and it's like this character wasn't even in this book.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it's good that they have like variety to cater for people who do like that kind of thing. I mean, I don't understand it myself. I don't mind other people, cracking on and collecting how they want to collect, but they're just some things I do miss, like the old sort of style covers. And I keep saying, like I've said it a few times, that they should do like because there's loads of old folks like me who quite happy to read comics. But they could do like a range of like Silver Age range where they do comics in the style of the old Silver Age stories or in the old Bronze Age kind of stories. This same style art, same style characters, and maybe it would get some. They don't seem to want to cater for kids anymore. It seems like they know their audience are all old fellas now or getting on a bit, and they don't seem to be doing as much as they probably should be to try and encourage a new market. That's what it seems to me. It seems to me anyway.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Oh well.
But,
never mind. Let's move on with the next comic book.
It's so sad, This was one of my like borderline calls on what to do. I think I have my last two picked out, so I'll show you this one first. This was this is Secret Empire 0.
Right.
So this was one of the first buys I bought blind, where like I didn't know what I was going to expect, but I looked at the cover and I was like, all right, there's Captain America with an awesome scene, and then I was like, and I know that Hydra thing behind me. So the big thing for this was was the first comic book I read that made my jaw drop. Where I was like, and I was like, whoa, because he became the bad guy. And I was like, this is freaking nuts. Like, couldn't believe it. My girlfriend at the time, she read it too, and she looked at me and she's like, what the hell? And this had so many heroes in it. So I was like, this is awesome. This is such a great array of books. And it's funny because I've seen a lot of guys lately started reading this, and they're like, this was so good. How did I miss this? And, I have all the covers of this too. And it just, for me, this, like I said, I was literally just like, whoa, the next book needs to be in my hands now. Really cool.
It's good when you get a story like that where you're so excited for it, you can't wait for the next one to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had a few like that. There's definitely been a few like that over the years, but I can't remember them now though. But definitely like ones that make you. There's always been like ones that like excitement. I can't wait to see that. You put them on top of your pile when your next little comic books come in. You be like, that's going on top because that's the one I want to read the most.
Yeah.
This one was a bit boring, so that could go on the bottom of the pile because it wasn't that good last month.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's funny because like I read this, and this led into another storyline. I don't remember what it was called. It was Secret something.
Right.
And I hated that. I read those first 2 issues of the next series, and I was like, "This is terrible," and I stopped. That's the first
yeah.
I stopped reading.
It's so, like Marvel like their secrets and DC like their crises.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone needs to bring out a secret crisis, like a crossover between the 2 companies.
They
might explode or something.
Yeah. But it's funny too, because like, you know, I do not read Captain America. I have a couple of old Captain Americas that I keep looking through my books and I was like, this will be a giveaway. Because for me, like, these books just don't hold anything for me, you know. But like this, and then I just read the recent modern Secret Empire. That was really good, and that was another Captain America story. But the modern Captain Americas, every time I buy one, I'm just like, I just don't love this. And it's almost like you said before with Simple Simon, you know, like I just sometimes feel I'm too late. You know, It doesn't do anything for me. I'm like, oh, this is probably a really good reference of something I don't know. But
yeah, it's comics. You can't always put your finger on what it is that grabs you about one and what doesn't. Well, I used to when I first started collecting, for about 5 years, I'd buy DC and Marvel kind of, you know. But and then suddenly in the early to mid 90s, Marvel, just like every week, I was like, oh, this is rubbish. I hate the art. And it's like, this story is not as good like it used to be. Because Captain America used to be one of my favorites, for a long period. Like, he was like, because he always guaranteed a good fight in his comics, a good story, good fight action, like nice art. And then suddenly they just started, every time I'd read it, I go, well, this is, I don't like the art. It's something cramped about the art, something weird looking about the art. I don't know if they changed the paper or what. I couldn't even put my finger on it. But when you look at some covers, you can go, oh yeah, nice. And suddenly be like, oh, I don't like that. And it seemed to be like, but that's why I stopped reading Marvel back in I don't know 94 or so. I went full DC. So DC was still doing it for me, but Marvel stopped.
Yeah, the events that take place too, you know, like I mean the more recent ones, you know, like DC just did Future State and that was terrible, you know, but Marvel did before that. You know, like when all the heroes come together in certain storylines, you know, it's just so big. Like you know, like Heroes in Crisis when it first came out, like I have a couple of those. Amazing. Yeah. And then I read Secret Wars and I realized that those were at different times. So to me, it felt like Marvel and DC were taking turns on like their massive, you know, they're great. You know, that's so cool.
It seems that everybody comic book now is either leading up to some huge event, or it's just cooling down from a huge event, or it's a crossover to a huge, or a rape slap bang in the middle of a huge event. There's no kind of, you know, it used to be I used to like comic books where it'd be like, you know, different villain every week and in every story. But now it's there's like fewer sort of gaps between them getting involved in some massive universe-shaking cataclysm. And I don't always like them stories. I quite often prefer like the more mundane kind of fighting a bank robber, or their villain of the week, or one of their regular foes have returned. Right. You know, like I used to like all that.
Right, like any kind of, you know, like, you know, just you know, day in the life, you know, crime fighter, you know, they just don't see that anymore. And like you said, with all the ways that like these, you know, these big stories like build up and fall apart, you know, sometimes they just do too much. Like, you know, I'm trying to think of something like King in Black is gonna end soon, and then it's just like you know, like some stories they trickle out and they trickle into 10 stories, and you're like, whoa. I'm not following these 10 stories, you know, and you got to pick and choose, and you just don't get lucky all the time, you know?
Nah.
I mean, sometimes they just do way too much.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing now. They're just trying to suck people in, aren't they? That's all it's about.
They're trying to suck every dollar out of your pot.
Yeah. And quite often these stories, they start off with a bang, and it's like excitement. They hype them all up, and this is going to be, and then they sometimes this. I think it's just inevitable that you always get excited, and a story's never going to end satisfactorily. It's like, because, you know, it's always feels like a bit of a damp squib at the end, like when it started off with a bang and it fizzles out. And I sort of looking back on like comic book stories, you kind of think to yourself, I don't even remember how these resolved. So many of these huge, like universe spanning stories, and you think, how did he resolve in here? I can't even remember. You know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, no,
maybe it's just me,
so
but
funny, yeah.
Yeah,
you're very right.
And I kind of get annoyed when it's always, quite often you'll find like superhero goes bad. That superhero goes bad trope is kind of like, I got a bit annoyed with the Marvel movies. So often it seemed like every bloody movie was either something that a superhero screwed up and caused the problem, like Ultron. And then it was straight after Ultron, it was like superheroes fighting each other. And I was like, they've got so many villains already in the story, in the comics. We don't need the story of them fighting each other so soon. And then we're Batman versus Superman. I'm like, for God's sake, why are they fighting each other? Yeah. You know, they've got so many of their own bloody cool villains. I don't want to see superheroes fighting each other or causing the problems in the first place.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
Very true.
Ranger Slide. Now it's all about big events, overboard violence, killing characters, or changing their sexual orientation just for shock value. Yeah, that's another thing that's probably one of the factors that stopped me buying completely in 2013. Like every blinking DC event had to kick off with someone getting killed, and it would inevitably be some small character. But for me, who read lots of comics, to them it may be a small character. For me, it was a character I liked. You know, so it always got on my nerves. They kept like, oh, we're going to kill so and so. They could say, oh no, so and so's dead, and that person's dead. And I kind of also I find it when they make a big change like that with characters, it kind of like poisons the well for like the old stories kind of thing. So I like if I wanted to read like Justice League America run, and I know that Max Lord is going to be a blinking murdering arsehole who kills one of my favorite characters somewhere down the line, it colors my like enjoyment of the old stories, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And nowadays, you know, they find ridiculous ways to bring characters back to life, and I'm just like, I accepted your death. Why are you back?
Yeah,
you know? Took me a long time. I accepted it.
Yeah, I had a daydream once of like making a website like are they still dead kind of thing. We can have a database of all the characters, how they died, and then are they still dead? No, they came back in so and so, that kind of thing.
That's really cool. That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, I swear half the time the bloody comic book writers themselves don't even know.
Yeah,
you know, they'll bring someone back and he was dead, right? Oh, was he? Oh, we just let him come back. We won't bother explaining it. And someone else down the line can write the story about how they came back to life.
Yeah. That's funny. So true.
Yeah,
very, very true.
Retro changing drastically the characters. This is very true. Ah, dear. Did we do 5 or was that the 4th one?
That was 4. I got one more.
All right. I always run out. I always lose track of what.
Yeah. When you're in such a great conversation, it's hard.
That's true. Everything. I'll put it down to the great conversation, not my poor memory. Then thanks for that.
There you go. I'm so up in the air between these two, but I'm gonna go with this one. Just because, I'll show an honorable mention real quick. I want to talk about it.
Yeah, go for it.
This is Venom. Okay. This is a Venom 1, which I picked up right after I picked up that Daredevil and Punisher series. But that Venom series
really jacked on that cover.
Yeah, and that showed me
weird.
That Venom was Lee Price, who then became Flash Thompson, who then became Eddie Brock, which is now the current run. So that's why I didn't want to show it, because it's kind of like where Daredevil and Punisher brought me into the current Daredevil. That Venom brought me into the current Venom. So my final one, it's a very modern book, and I truly loved this. I think I might have been like one of 5 people who liked this. Is Old Man Quill. So I read Old Man Wolverine, Old Man Logan, the whole trade, and loved it. And then all of a sudden, I saw this on the shelves, not knowing it was coming out, and I was like, "Whoa, this is really cool!" I think the artwork for him is amazing, the whole cracked mask in the background and everything. And then
you like your Guardians of the Galaxy, you already said to us.
Yeah, dude, I have Star-Lord tattooed on the back of my leg. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy, bro.
Okay, we won't get you to strip off then. Maybe another video we'll get you to strip off and show you tattoo.
But that's the thing. He is just my favorite all-time hero. So to me, he's one of those heroes who doesn't really have superpowers.
Yeah.
And, just makes the best of his gadgets and everything. So to me, Star-Lord is very Batman-ish. Without the money, of course.
Yeah, he's more, to me, he says he's more like a Flash Gordon kind of character.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I just love his storylines, in the movies and everything. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, like I said, was kind of my big kickoff. So when that movie came out, I was like, this guy is awesome. I love Chris Pratt. I just love everything that they do with him in the movies. I'm like, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome. I can quote half of his lines from every movie.
That's cool. Yeah. What's the one where he goes?
When he gets arrested, that's so good.
Something like that,
yeah. That, and then in Infinity War when he meets Thanos with Gamora. Did you see it? Yeah,
I've seen Infinity War. Yeah.
She's like, he goes, the boyfriend, and Star-Lord's more like, no, I'm more of a long-term Titan killing booty call, and I was like, that is such a good line.
Yeah, but then he messed it all up, didn't he? By bloody screwing up, so they couldn't get the bloody. They're just about to get the glove off him, and he started.
Yep, I I had just gotten the tattoo before Infinity War came out, and then all my friends were like, "You realize you got a tattoo of the guy that gets everybody killed?" I'm like, "Yeah."
I blame Doctor Strange. He should have been able to do something about that.
Oh,
He should have
I
seen that.
know.
He should have seen that and put a sleep on blinking Quill or something like that. And
Yeah.
there's so many holes in that movie. You could drive a bus through them. But you can say that about any film, though, can't you? If you look hard enough and think about anything deep enough when it comes to these things, you just like, oh yeah, they could have done that, could have done this, blah blah blah. But just don't. Just enjoy what happened. Just accept what they went with in the end.
And that's I've seen that in Endgame like 30 times each, and like every time I watch it with somebody who hasn't seen it, they're like, "Why didn't they do this or that?" Like,
yeah.
I'm like, you'll see. You got to see how it all ends.
Yeah.
So, too funny.
Oh well. Yeah, what was we just looking at? Oh yeah, Quill. So what happens in that one then? Are there any more? I know there's Old Man Logan. Are they done any more Old Man Hawkeye had one, didn't he, for a while?
Yeah, Old Man Hawkeye was a part of one because he was kind of like he came from Old Man Logan. Other than that, I mean, I love these old man stories. Like I kind of hope for more. I don't know who they can do. You know, like, you know, my heart would love to see like an old man Spider-Man kind of thing, like an old man Peter Parker. Because this is sick. This is about how he's kind of like the leader of this planet, and he has a wife and kids, and he goes away on a mission, and all of a sudden, like, he tells them he'll be right back, and he doesn't come right back. And when he does, like, he kind of got 2 times where somebody else comes and like destroys his planet and kills his family, and then he he finds, it's really sad. He finds like Rocket and Groot, who are also like old and beat up. Yeah, and then you find out he's hallucinating the whole time, so he's alone. He's not actually with the Guardians. So he's fighting, like, he fights Fing Fang Foom, he fights Dr. Doom, and he does it all on his own. It's really cool. Like,
do all his villains rhyme with each other?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Fing Fang Foom, Dr. Doom, the Man on the Moon. I'm sure they could come up with a few more.
That's too funny. I didn't think of that. Yeah, but to me, like that, like I said, that was like a year ago. I think there were 12 issues, and just loved it. So that's another one for me. It's gonna go to CGC, so I can hang it and say, like, this was just a beautiful Old Man Rick Jones would be awesome.
Yeah, he's done a lot in his time, Rick Jones, and he's been Captain America's sidekick. He's been the Hulk sidekick.
Yeah,
I remember. I'm sure he's done other things as well. Oh, Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel's sidekick as well, wasn't he, for a while?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, very versatile.
What is he doing now, Rick Jones? I've not read for Marvel for ages. Is he in any of the titles?
I don't think so. I don't think
might still be hanging with the Hulk. Probably still hanging with the Hulk.
Yeah, no, I read Maestro now. He's not even in that. Like, I don't know. I haven't heard the name in so long.
Yeah,
I loved Rick Jones, and he was very small in it. But I read about him, and he was part of Secret War for like a quick, brief moment in the ones leading up to it. And I was like, oh, this guy is awesome. And then when I read, I have like the Marvel Masterpiece Avengers. It's the first 10 issues. Like, even in that, this guy is so important. He's keeping them all together. And now, they don't even use him in the movies, which is so upsetting. Everything is a Nick Fury with Samuel Jackson. Stop.
I've just had a thought, actually. Rick Jones is Marvel's version of Jimmy Olsen. I just clocked it. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Rick Jones is just poor man's Jimmy Olsen. I just realised it, down to the red hair as well, I think. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's got red hair, isn't he? I think he has, or is it brown?
He does. I think that's so true.
I've sussed it. Well, is there any other old man character you'd like to see, like a favourite old man character you'd like?
I have a feeling that the day is going to come where I think we're going to see like a Batman again. I think, I think we're going to kind of see like a Batman Beyond, but without that, they're trying to do this whole next detective thing.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to think what I have. I feel like you could spin off into anything, and
no reason why not.
Yeah,
I think it's quite cool because you think about our heroes, they never age, do they? They age, but they don't age. It's like, okay, this doesn't make much sense. They should be, they should like the older heroes get older, but the younger heroes catch up with them. But then the older heroes seem to be a bit younger again. And like I was just reading Three Jokers, and like Jason, the Red Hood, who's the second Robin, he's got a thing for Batgirl. And I was thinking to myself, hold on, Batgirl was already a grown woman when the first Robin was around. That first Robin is now like a grown man. I think, how old is Barbara Gordon now? Like, you know, she's, you know, was obviously, he was just a little toddler, or not a toddler, he was like a teenager, I don't know, 14 or something. And she was obviously must have been in a, so there's a bit of an age gap, let's put it that way.
I call it the Stewie Griffin and Bart Simpson thing. They'll never age. They'll never grow up.
Exactly. And how old is Batman now? How old is Batman now? I can't imagine, is he in his 40s? Is Batman in his 40s?
He's got to be later than that, you know? It's so funny. Like, I read the current Batman and Catwoman, and they have a daughter who's like 20, I guess. So I'm like, oh, so you plus 20. But then you look at the artwork of Bruce and Selena, I was like, they don't look any older. Like, your daughter's going to be older than them in 2 years, you know?
Yeah. Oh, man. I suppose you've got to kind of, like, it's like anything, you've got to suspend your disbelief in you. I kind of thought it would be nice to have, like, a range of comics where the characters actually aged. But it's probably too late for me now because I'm 50. I'll never get to see the ongoing stories because you know, they'll only be like 30 or so by the time I've popped my clogs. You know, it's like that's no good. But that kind of thing would be quite interesting.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, he was Rom's sidekick for a while, wasn't he? Rick Jones. I forgot about that. Hey, watch it. I'm gonna have to. Has anyone in there got a wrench? We have to kick Sleepy Reader out. He said that Jimmy Olsen is not as cool as Rick Jones. Come on, who's got a wrench? Throw him out of the chat. We don't. Those are fighting words on this channel.
Jimmy Olsen holds just such a special place in the, you know, for Superman. You know, he's like, you know, Jimmy Olsen is one of those people where it's like, Jimmy, I need you to do this, and Jimmy's gonna do it. Where Rick Jones, you know, I mean, I just don't know that he's good as a, you know, I don't know. Exactly.
Rick Jones just caused his problems. He ended up getting Banner of Lincoln irradiated, didn't he? He started every single person the Hulk's ever destroyed their property. It's all down to Rick Jones, like trespassing.
Yeah,
bloody hippie. Well, he was a hippie then anyway. He's not a hippie anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
That's another thing, like when it comes to we're talking about the chronological things all being wrong. It's like he's getting further and further away from World War II when Captain America woke up. Because he woke up in the 60s, didn't he? The early 60s. And like it seems to be like it's permanently a few years ago he woke up. They have to keep on pretending that it was only a few years ago that he actually woke up.
You're right. Yeah, but like you said, we've kind of just got to put it in the back of our heads and accept it, and you know.
Yeah, exactly. Don't think about it too much. It's no Rick Jones hate. It's just that, you know, you just understand that Rick Jones is like here, Jimmy Olsen's here. That's all we've got to remember, and it's all good. Oh dear. Right. Yeah. Let's talk about. Do you want to talk about your channel for a bit? You want to tell us about what's coming out? You've got a new thing you're starting yourself, doing Origins.
Sure. Yeah. So I kind of, you know, for a while I just needed a break because I felt like my channel wasn't going anywhere, and I was watching a lot of other people, and I was like, all right, I got to do this, I got to do that. So like I said, I bought the equipment, kind of helped out. Started working on editing, which is super hard, and I'm not loving that, but it's fun. But yes, I'm going for 4 videos a week now. Mondays, I'm going to start this Monday. I'm going to start a new show called Origins. It's basically personally about you and how, you know, you found your love for comics and, you know, like how, like you started doing YouTube and stuff like that. So real like basic stuff. And, you know, literally like, you know, it's personally about you. Like I want it to be about the subscriber, you know, so that other people see, and it's like, wow, like maybe they don't know, like, you know, your first comic story where, you know, instead of the story of the book or something like that, you know. So I do that. Tuesdays I do what I call random videos. I don't have a good name for it. I do hauls, CGC stuff. I did a review last night for a group of guys that asked me to review their Kickstarter book, which was it was amazing to do. It was awesome.
Nice to get asked.
Yeah, I love doing it for them, but I ended up having to shoot the video twice because my editing skills are terrible. And all of a sudden I looked at when I finished, because I had it looking at my computer and it was too bright, and I was like, oh my God. It looks terrible. You couldn't even see. Wednesdays I still do my new book pickups, and then Fridays I do a read of the week. So a lot of stuff, but you know, working on it. Subscriber count is climbing, which isn't something, you know, I'm not like you know, I'm not dying to get the subscribers, but you know, when I see them, it's awesome. So it's a lot of fun.
What are you on for subscribers now? You about 100, saying you, or more than that now?
Yeah, I want to say I'm at like 130 to be honest. So
yeah, that's what I remembered. Yeah,
which is amazing. You know, any number for me is just amazing.
Yeah, so, the more the merrier. The more the merrier. It's more. Like, I've got quite a few now, but it's like none of them bloody comment or anything like that. So it's like because I've got too many different things that I do, and too many people have like joined for different stuff. I don't keep it constant to one thing, so maybe that doesn't help. Yeah, but like you say, as long as you're having fun doing it.
Yep,
chatting to
exactly.
people. You're gonna be looking at comic books anyway, so you might as well talk about them.
Exactly. And that's the thing, like I said, you get better and better with it. Like I came into here super nervous, and you made this super easy.
Yeah, so we're talking about comic books.
Yeah,
It's
fun. But it's
no
cool.
judgment or nothing. It's like just chat, and I learned some new stuff because a lot of the modern stuff I don't know. Hopefully, you learned some stuff. Or
absolutely, that's exactly it. It's so cool because I was like, what should I show? And then I was going through some of my older stuff, and I was like, these just don't hold anything to me. But it was awesome because you were able to compare all my modern stuff to the other stuff, which is amazing. So it kept our conversation going, and that's what I think is amazing about this. The fact that everything is still going is. Hopefully this never ends.
Yeah, hopefully that does worry me when I start putting books up to $6 and to keep paring down the blinking company and all that kind of stuff. You got to hope that they sort of find a way of. I just think people aren't reading. Like kids don't read anymore. It's like when I was a kid, like we used to have comic books, UK comic books, and there'd be like 20 on the shelf every bloody weekday. Or like every week there'd be a new one out. Like and it was like they just got down and down and down. Now I think there's about one of them left. And it's really kind of sad because kids have got so many other options, and reading is so low on their list of things to do. Yeah, it's kind of like sad, really.
You're so correct. There's not. I can't tell you the last time I went into my LCS and saw like a young reader.
Yeah,
it's hard, but
it's up to us to make our kids and nephews and so forth into fans if we can.
Absolutely.
Have you got any kids yet?
I do not. I don't have any kids yet.
I don't start indoctrinate them early when have them like some comic book teething rings, that kind of thing. Little comic book mobile hanging above the cot and all that kind of stuff when it happens.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, one day. That's the goal. I hope that I can pass this on to somebody younger than me, and hopefully they have a love for it like I do.
Yeah. So I've got one nephew who's into comics.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm trying to I gave him. I had loads of doubles of Batman, and I sort of split them up into some packages. That was a Christmas present, birthday present, Christmas present.
Perfect.
And I literally just sent the last one to him for his birthday last month. I keep trying to. Sly says kids do read, they just don't read comics. They do, I suppose they do, because you've got that. Harry Potters are very popular, and there are books that kids read. But you think they'd find a way to make them more popular again with all the movies and the popularity of the movies.
Right.
Kids seem. It's not like the kids don't love superheroes and that kind of action, but somehow, I don't know. I don't think the numbers are good for comic books. They've been going down year after year now, I think.
Yeah.
It's some way of getting the kids to. I think someone needs to. Some supervillain needs to invent a device, some kind of like electronic device that destroys all computer games, and then that way all the comic books would, rise again.
Absolutely.
all the super games apart from Fallout. Let's just add that little addendum there, so I can still carry on playing Fallout. Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, right, we're going up for nearly an hour now, mate. Thanks for coming on,
dude. Thank you so much for having me. You're amazing.
No worries.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure to have you and like find out more. Find some new stuff. I try and check out your channel when I can. Like,
I always do
your little streams. Like you try. I quite often like, I just missed it. I always come in. I quite often just missed the stream.
That's okay.
You're quite late as well, aren't you?
Commenting. So
no worries.
Thank you so much. Seriously, you're the man.
Well, hopefully we'll chat again sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I keep wanting to do like streams of like just random people hanging out, but it's like you say, organizing them. I'm crap at organizing these things. I kind of like maybe I'll try and do one time and put it out there on YouTube. Every time I try to do something like that, no one ever wants to come on. It's like, screw it. I gave up after a while.
Yeah, no. Hey, if you ever get it going, I would love to join.
All right, mate. Anyway, talk to you soon then. We'll say goodbye, shall we?
Thank you so much. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Oh,
bye.
Everyone come back in a couple of hours where I'm doing my Lovecraft stream with Matilda and Rena and OG Space Bun. So we're talking about Nyarlathotep. So if you like HP Lovecraft, come back and check that out later. Bye, everyone. Thanks for